Hello, neighbor. Thank you for joining me tonight and here at Creating in My Corner. I'm Alicia Dolan, and I am so glad that you're with me. Tonight's Stampin' Sunday video is a free class. So I'm going to show you how to make 2 cards. And if you would like to receive the supplies for these cards from me in the mail, all you have to do is place a qualifying order, which is just $25 or more, using the code found in the description, the link found in the description of this video. So bear with me just a minute while I wait and see if anyone else is going to join us. Tonight we are going to use a bundle that I have not used yet, but this time I have put the stamps together, and it is, let's see here on this side is better, the Zany Zoo bundle. So I haven't used this yet in a video. I double checked, I went back and looked. So this will be our first time tonight using the Zany Zoo bundle. And it does, there's a stamp set and a die set. So if you order those together, you do get a little bit of a discount. Okay, we are going to go ahead and get started with our video. Let me turn the camera around. It'll take me just a moment to switch over to the stamping space. Okay, sorry, I had a little trouble with that mute button for a second. But now we are here over in our stamping space, and we are going to make a couple cards tonight using the Zany Zoo bundle. So I'm just going to double check and make sure that it looks like you can see everything online. And so if you have any questions or comments during the video, I always appreciate it if you put those right in the comments. And let's go ahead and get started. So first, we are going to make a card using this new color. It's a new in color called Pebbled Path. So every year when the catalog switches over, there are 5 new colors that come out, and this is one of the colors that was introduced this year. So it's kind of a gray, like a brown gray. And we're going to cut our pebbled path at 5.5. So then we'll have a piece that's 5.5 by 8.5. We are going to turn it sideways and score it here at 4.25. Okay. And then we can take and fold that right in half and grab a bone folder to press that full. I hope that everyone's having a good night tonight. I know it's Father's Day, so if you are celebrating that in some way, happy Father's Day to you. I'm just shuffling my my supplies around here a little bit so that everything is where I can reach it a little bit easier. All right, and here's Mortimer, my lovely helper. And I think that we will start tonight. We've got our base here. I think we'll start tonight with this cute little raccoon, and we'll do something great to celebrate you. I think that will be our sentiment for tonight. I left my scrap paper over on the other side, so hopefully I won't bump everything while I'm trying to reach it. All right. So I have a little piece of basic white. And here is my stamping mat. You can see that I still have not switched out from my when we did the little monkey card. I have all kinds of stuff on this side, however, but I use these little scraps up until I cannot possibly use them anymore. Now I've got my Stampin' Blocks over here close, so we can move right along. Okay. Hello, Jillian. I just saw that you said hello. I hope you're doing well tonight. I'm assuming it's probably quite warm where you are. It was warm here today, and that was it was nice. Not too hot, but nice and warm. Okay, so we are gonna stamp our little raccoon first. And I think I'm gonna need a tall block to put him on. Let's see if it'll fit on here. I don't think so. So I need a little bit wider one. Okay, and we need some Memento black ink. Okay, so we're just going to ink up our stamp. And to do that, we're going to tap, tap, tap on that stamp. My ink is starting to run a little bit dry, so pretty soon I'm going to have to ink that back up. But that's the nice thing about ink is you can just add a little more when you need it. All right, and I'm going to turn my basic white this way just because I feel like that is a good measurement. Okay, and then we're going to stamp and press right in the center. And there's our little raccoon. I feel like I definitely did not get my stamping space here sorted out before we started. So if you notice that I seem a little out of sorts or I'm reaching for things a lot, that's because I am. Okay, and we're gonna put him back in his spot over here. Okay, and next we are gonna use, let's see, what are we gonna use? I think we'll use our watercolor pencils tonight to color with. And so they do not come in a case like this anymore. There are a different amount of colors as well, but these are ones I've had for a long time. And so we will use these tonight. Okay, it looks like I should have sharpened them a bit before I got them out. So let me zoom in a little bit so that you can see as I'm coloring this little fella. Hopefully, and if I don't remember to zoom back out, you might have to send me a little comment and remind me. Okay, so we're gonna color our raccoon. And I definitely need to sharpen my pencil as well. I can tell from the last time I colored, I did not um, get that sharpened. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can find my sharpener. Okay, and that'll just take a quick second. I found it pretty fast. So I'm just going to give that a little sharpen. Perfect. All right, and then we can continue on with our coloring our little rack. Oh, no, we can't because I did a terrible job of sharpening. Okay, hold on. Seems like sometimes things just don't go the way you planned, right? All right, let me sharpen it just a little more. I don't want to go too far this time because the last time I broke it and I didn't even know. Okay, so here we go. That's better. And we're just going to color our little raccoon. Now you can color, there are so many different tools that you can use to color. The Stampin' Up markers will color, and they are a very bright, bold color. You can use the Stampin' Blends, which are an alcohol-based marker. They color very smooth, and they allow you to really blend your colors well. There's a lot of different options. These are the watercolor pencils. And as you can see, they come in quite a variety of colors. So there are lots of tools to color, and you can use whichever ones you're most comfortable with. I like the watercolor pencils a lot because I feel like I have a lot of control over exactly how much color I get on there. But some people like to just color quickly and be done with it. And the Stampin' Blends are really good for that. So it kind of depends on your project and of course what look you want when you're done. So we're just going to color our little raccoon here. And I think I'm going to put just a little bit of paint right here and its ears. Just because I feel like it needs just a little bit of color. And then we can add some here to the cheeks to kind of make it look a little chipper. And maybe we'll make them have red lips. I don't know if raccoons have. I'm fairly certain they do not have red lips. But I like the little bit of color that gives. And let's give ours blue eyes. Now, I cannot believe that they would have. But let's do it. Okay. And I think that's cute. So now we need to color our balloons. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to make one green. It's kind of an aqua green. All right, and then let's see, how about an orange? I think coloring that raccoon's face made it look a wee bit more cartoony. I think my raccoon looks a little cartoony, but that's okay. I don't mind. Hopefully, whoever I send them to, it will brighten their day. All right, and I'll have a purple balloon. And let's see, how about a red one? All right, and okay, I think that's good for our little raccoon. And next, I am going to run this through the Stampin' Cut machine. Actually, I'm going to run it through the Big Shot because that is the machine I have. If you have the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, that works the same way. Oh, hold on. Oh, I forgot to zoom back out. All right, so now you can see what we're going to do. And we're just going to lay our piece of paper on here. And then when we go to our dies, we just need to find the one right here that matches the shape of our raccoon. Okay, and we'll lay it on there so that the edges line up. And we need another plate over the top, and we're just going to lay it down gently so that hopefully it doesn't scoot our die out of place. Okay, and then we can just run that through. And here is our raccoon. Isn't that so cute? I really like this little Zany Zoo set. Okay, so next, first I'm going to put that die right back away because I cannot let it get lost. Okay. So now we have our card base, our little raccoon. And I think that next we will put on a piece of paper. Let's cut this at 3 inches. Okay, now this is the 6x6 designer series paper from the In Colors collection. And what I want to do is glue this on here and then trim off my edges. So I'm going to turn it over. Let's see. I think, nope, I'm not going to do that because it's not going to be quite big enough, as big as I wanted it to be. All right, so what I am going to do, what am I going to do? I am going to change my mind because that's what I do sometimes. All right, so I'm going to cut this at, I cut it at 3 already, and now I'm going to cut it at 5.5. Okay, just like that. I hope this isn't too close to last week's card, but I can't think what it looked like in my mind. And I have found that even though you use the same um, card sketch, so like the same outline, the card can look completely different based on what um, what paper and what stamps you use. So even if the sketch is the same, you can come up with a totally different card. Okay, so there is that. Let's see. And I want another layer, and I'm going to do 3 1/4. Nope, that's a little too wide. Okay, we're going to change it again. Let's do 2 1/4 by 4 1/4. I know that sounded like a question because I'm not sure yet. So we'll see in just a minute. Yeah, I think that's going to work. Okay, and then I want a piece of white that is, I did 4 1/4, so this one's going to be 4 by 2. Okay, so this is going to go on here like this. Our little raccoon is going to go on here, but we need to add a little bit to our piece of white. So what I want to do is put my white over here and lay my little raccoon next to it. Okay, and then I want to stamp some of these little party squiggles around. So I'm going to grab these little party squiggles and a small block. This is, let's see, block B. And then I'm going to use my tuxedo black memento. Let's see. Now I want my little raccoon to be right about here. So I'm going to stamp some party squiggles over here. And a few little party squiggles up here. Just like that. Okay. And now what I want to do is open my pencils back up, and I'm going to color in some of those little squiggles. And I want yellow for my star. Okay, and then let's do our, so wait a second here. Let's do our little triangles in green. I'm trying to match them up a little bit with my balloons there. So yellow, I have used red. And purple. And then let's use some blue. Ooh. Let's see what else. Yellow, red, blue. Let's go with another green. Oh, and then an orange. I almost forgot about orange. All right. Okay. Now we have our little party squiggles all colored in. Okay, let's glue these together. So we're going to take our liquid glue and we're going to do a thin line around the edge. That's actually a little too thick right there, so I'm kind of smear it around. And we're going to leave a spot for our finger and do a squiggle down the middle. All right. And we can put that right on here. Okay, and this is going to go right here. Our raccoon is going to go right here. And let's see, I feel like maybe we need some ribbon. Let's see. Thinking this color right here will probably go pretty well with our balloon. So let's tie a little knot over here. And we won't tie it too tight because then we can adjust it a little bit. There we go. Let's grab our scissors and we'll just trim that bow. All right, and let's pop up our piece here. Our layer, let's call it a layer. We can pop that layer up using our Stampin' Dimensionals. Okay, so then we're going to put those right there. And we're going to put our raccoon on dimensionals too. So yeah, it's got one right here that looks like the right size. Use these little ones up here on the balloon bunch. Okay. So here is our little raccoon, and now we need a sentiment. So let's choose this happy birthday to you. Let's see. I think we can put it right on here. Let me clean this one on. All right, and I know that I am not a very fast stamper, so if you are waiting on me while you're stamping, you can always watch when I post the video over on YouTube, and then you can use the settings button just to speed it up if you want to. If I am too slow a stamper for you to um, be following along well. All right, there is our sentiment. Okay, and we are gonna fussy cut that out. So that just means we're gonna take our scissors and we are gonna trim around it. So what you wanna do is hold your scissors so that they point up. And then turn your paper as you go around. And it can be kind of tricky, but I've found this is the best way to cut out these little words. Now, the other thing you can do if you struggle with fussy cutting your words is you can take a pencil first and trace around them, kind of a loose shape, and that will help too when you're fussy cutting. Okay, so here is our little happy birthday. And what I thought we would do is in the dies, here is this little banner. And I think it would be really cute to put that on there. So we're going to cut that out of Pebbled Path. All right, I'm going to die cut this and I will bring it right back. All right, and I think we can put this little happy birthday on here, and it is going to be just as cute as can be. Let's see. Should I go up here or over here by the bow? Trying to decide. It's always a tough decision. All right, I think I'm going to put it this way. Okay, so we'll get some stamped dimensionals. I'm using the mini ones this time, not because I can't find my other ones. I can today. But just because I like these mini ones. And we'll stick it right here. And then we can put our sentiment. Right over here on the side. Now, if you are signed up for my email list, you will get the directions for the 2 cards that we make tonight, a PDF in the email, and it should arrive by Wednesday. It's always my goal to get the instructions written and sent out by Wednesday. I feel like it takes a long time to write those directions, but it's definitely, I think it definitely helps if you're trying to copy a card, if you have all the right measurements to start with. Okay, and tonight we are going to use these tinsel gems. These are so pretty, you guys. If you don't have these little tinsel gems, you may want to get them. Let me see if I can show you close up what they look like. They are really pretty. I bumped the camera there. but they have little tiny pieces of tinsel actually in the gem itself. All right, so let's take our take your pick tool and we'll pick up some of these gems and just add them around on our card. All right, I'm gonna use the green ones, but I wonder if I should use the blue or the purple. No, we're just gonna stick with the green. That's actually, let's see. It doesn't say what color it is, but I'm guessing it's probably Pool Party. Okay, so those are the tinsel gems. I'm just gonna put those back away. Maybe. Okay. So this is our first card for tonight. So there we have our cute little raccoon, a happy birthday card, perfect to send to anyone who's celebrating. Okay, next we are going to make another Zany Zoo card. All right, and this time we are going to make, we're going to start with Old Olive. I already have a piece here that's scored in the middle. Let's measure to make sure it's the right size. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to fold this in half. It's 8.5 by 5.5. And we're going to fold it in half and press it with our bone folder. Okay, and this time we're going to have our card go this way. And we're going to use some Mossy Meadow. And in our die set are these little trees. And I thought we could cut out some little trees. Using that Mossy Meadow. Okay, I'm going to cut these out. I'll be right back. Okay, and look how sweet these little trees are. They are so cute. All right, so now we've got 2 little trees. I think we're going to need 3. So I'm going to make one more big tree. Okay, so there's 3 little trees. Okay. And then I want a piece of Mossy Meadow that is 4 by 5.25. So there's 4. Oh, that's not, that is not quite long enough. Okay, so we'll cut this one 5.25. They're not. I will use those scraps for something. Okay, 5 1/4 by 4. So this is going to be our next layer on this card. And then we're going to need a piece of white that is 5 by 3 3/4. So we're going to cut it first at 5. Oh, I didn't see that. The top of my head was getting in there tonight. Okay, 5 by 3 3/4. And this is what we're going to do our stamping on this time. So I really love this cute little leopard ballerina. And that's what we're going to stamp next. See this one right here? So cute. All right. And I'm just going to put that on my black. I'm going to try my other black and see if it has a little better color than the first one. Okay. So we're going to tap. Oh, I need to move that off my trimmer. Okay. Well, there is our little leopard ballerina. And we're going to put that right in the center. Okay. And I'm just going to clean that off really quick. Okay, now this is going to go on next. And we've got our little trays to go off to the side. And I want to add some little music notes. Okay. All right. So there we've got some little music notes. I feel like I'm a little bit all over the place tonight. I don't know. Hopefully you're able to follow along with me all right. Okay. And this time I'm going to use my Stampin' Blends. Okay, I'm going to use a combination. So I have a Stampin' Blend here that is bronze, and I have a Stampin' Right marker that is pumpkin pie. So I am going to, let's see, I'm going to color the spots. This marker does not have a very good tip anymore. Okay, so we're going to color our spots on our leopard. Now I have to tell you that sometimes I do look up the actual colors for animals and try to get them really close. And sometimes I just go with whatever I feel like in the moment, not necessarily the actual colors that the animals would be. So there is that for the spots. Now I'm going to draw a little shadow underneath here. And it's kind of bright. But I kind of want to give my ballerina a little place to stand. So that's what I'm trying to do there. Next, I'm going to color. Let's see. We're going to color the flower. I'm using Melon Mambo. As you can tell, some of my markers are really near the end of their life. All right, that's Melon Mambo. And then we need some Daffodil Delight for the center of that flower. Okay. And let's see. I don't have what I would call a good, oh, let's do blue. Let's do balmy blue shoes. If I have a balmy blue, and I do. So as you can tell, I don't have all the tools and all the colors at this point, but I'm working on it. Okay. Okay, and let's color the little skirt blue to match the shoes. And I don't know if you can tell, but see how easily the color blends together. When you overlap, it doesn't create a huge color difference. So I really like that. They blend together so nicely. This is a Stampin' Blend. So there is that. Okay, and then I'm going to use the ivory here on our ballerina's face. Just like that. Okay. And then we're going to have our little trees. Going around. Okay. So I think what we'll do is let's cut out Do we need a little curtain maybe? I feel like that would be really cute along the side. Okay, let's do a little green curtain. Okay, here is one. And one for the other side. And then I suppose we need to go along the top a little, no, you know what? I like them just like that. I think I'm going to leave it like that. Okay. So we're going to put this. No, we're not. We're not going to leave it like that, but we're going to change it in just a minute. This piece of Mossy Meadow is 4x5 1/4. So we're going to glue this down next. And we're going to center it right on the front, just like that. Okay. And then our next piece, we're going to do a thin line around the edge and then a squiggle down the middle. Just like that. Okay. And then we want a little, I think a little curtain along the top. So this was 5x3 and let's see, 3/4. So the next one, we're going to go with 4 3/4. And then we'll just we'll use this little scallop edge to cut along the top. But it's not going to cut all the way because it's a wee bit shorter than that. So, so we're going to have to make it a little shorter. All right. 4 3/4. Let's do 4 1/2. All right, so now we have a little piece that'll go along the top. And then 2 little curtains that will go along sides. So let's put these together first. And we will just use a little bit of liquid glue for that. So I'm going to put a little tiny bit here. And a little tiny bit here. All right. And then we're going to kind of line them up so that they go straight down. All right. And I'm going to move kind of quick. So hopefully I can adjust them if I need to. All right. And then our little window will sit just like this. So let's put some Stampin' Dimensionals on there. And we'll put some bigger ones here on the sides. And we'll put a little here in the middle, just because it's easier to fit it in there. Okay. This is going to be a little tricky, I feel like, to get it in the right spot here. So I'm going to try and line up the top first, and then I'll press it down. All right. I feel like this one is a little tiny bit crooked. So we'll just scoot that a little tiny bit. Sometimes if you peel those dimensionals up really carefully, you can still use those. Okay, and then let's put our little trees on the sides. I'm just going to use a little liquid glue to stick them on there. And just like that. And then this one, I'm going to put a little dimensional on. And we'll put this one right over here. Okay, so now we have our little card with our trees, and all we need is a sentiment. So let's choose something great to celebrate you. Okay, and that's this one right here. So then we need a little piece of white that is probably about this size. And we'll see if we can't stamp that on there. Pretty straight. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Okay, so we're going to tap our stamp on our ink until it's nice and shiny. And we'll try to stamp. Oh, I'm close, so close, so that U is not quite clear. All right. Let me try that again, and I'll press in the center. Ah, much better. Okay. So now, no matter how long you've been stamping, no matter how many times you have tried to stamp in the straight line, sometimes the first try is not the one. All right. And now we're going to give this a little trim. And I'm going to trim it at an angle on both sides. Just like that. And let's see. I think it could go right up here at the top. So I'm just going to put a little glue along the top of that. And set it right up here. Okay, and now we need some little gems. Do we need little gems? Yes, we do. I always feel like we need little gems. Now, you may not prefer little gems, and that's okay. I do like them very much. And I'm just going to kind of sprinkle them around. I'm going to put one right here on each of the curtains. I'm kind of going a little overboard tonight. Usually I do 3 gems. This is a lot of gems, but I like them. Okay. So those are the rhinestone basic jewels. I love these. These are probably my favorite gems ever because they go with everything. You can actually color them with the Stampin' Blends if you want to. They're fabulous. Okay. So here are our 2 cards for tonight. This is the second card, which I think is super cute. And here is the first card. So this one is definitely a birthday card, but this one could be for any kind of celebration. So there's our 2 cards for tonight. If you want to get the directions for these, make sure that you're signed up for my email list. There is a blue, I think it's a blue sign up button near the top of my Facebook page. Or if you need me to add you to that list, you can just message me and I will take care of that. Thank you for joining me tonight for Stampin' Sunday. It's always so much fun to create with you, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Happy stamping.